What happens when we die? Basic biology tells us that our body begins to decompose, the heart stops beating, and the brain shuts down. At least, that's what we're accustomed to seeing from the outside. But what if that doesn't happen? Many people have undergone near-death experiences, and some have reported seeing a bright white light, feeling their body project outward, encountering loved ones or friends who have already passed away, and experiencing a sensation of reliving memories of their lives as if in a movie. This phenomenon of near-death experience has challenged science for quite some time. Could experiencing such a situation be related to psychological defense mechanisms of the body, or perhaps hallucinations? Or could these stories prove that death is reversible, or that life in some form continues? We still don't know, but if you'd like, we can explore this subject a little further. Discover now 5 accounts of near-death experiences that will shake your beliefs. Number 1. Colton Burpo. He was only 3 years old when his appendix burst and the infection spread throughout his body. He needed to be urgently taken to the hospital, and his parents feared for the baby's life. After his successful surgery, his parents took him home, but it was only 4 months later that they discovered that young Colton had lived in that operating room. No one had words to question what they heard when Colton recounted, "The first person I saw was Jesus. He was wearing a white robe and had marks on his hands and the top of his feet. I also saw your grandfather, Dad, Mr. Pop. He's very kind. You used to play and work on the farm with him, right?" The surprising thing is that Colton's father had never told the boy about Pop, as he had passed away when the boy's father was still a child. Later, Colton asked his mother about his other sister, and the mother was confused because she only had 2 children, Casey the youngest and Colton. But then the boy said to her, "I have 2 sisters, Mom. You had a baby who died in your belly. I know this because she told me." The parents were fascinated by their son's account, and this story was so moving that it became a book called Heaven is for Real. Number 2. Rita Isabel. This woman is a teacher who reported having a near-death experience during the birth of her daughter. The surgery was risky because Rita had fallen down a staircase when she was 8 months pregnant. She said the following, "While lying on the stretcher, I felt my body being pulled forcefully towards a very bright light. Then I saw a very beautiful place with many people walking and talking there. I was sure it was heaven. It was so beautiful there. Suddenly, I heard a voice saying that I needed to go back because my children needed me, and then I was pulled back into my body on the hospital stretcher." Shortly afterward, a nurse told Rita that she had been considered dead because her vital signs had stopped. This story was a secret for Rita. She had never told anyone before because there was a lot of prejudice surrounding the subject, especially when one is a teacher. The first time she shared it was during an interview for a local TV program in her city in 2012. Number 3. Alexander Eben. In 2008, the 54-year-old neurosurgeon Alexander Eben contracted a rare form of bacterial meningitis, and a few hours later, he slipped into a deep coma and remained in that state for 7 days. For him, death always meant the end of everything. There was nothing more afterward. However, he had to go through this experience to completely change his mind. It was during this coma period that the doctor claimed to have had the most unbelievable experience a person could have. He stated the following, "In my journey, there was no body, only my consciousness. My brain was not functioning, and I didn't remember anything about my personal life, my children, or who I was. First, I was taken to a dark, murky environment, and then I arrived in a beautiful and peaceful place, an extensive valley, very green, full of flowers, and filled with butterflies. I also saw a beautiful spirit, a woman in simple clothing with wings." His account was so intense that he wrote a book to share his experience called Proof of Heaven. The doctor stated that for 2 years he tried to find a scientific explanation for what happened to him. But then, he came to the conclusion that there is no way to explain it. It was not hallucination or even just a dream. Number 4. Anita Moorjani. In 2002, she was diagnosed with cancer and underwent chemotherapy for 4 years. After this period, her body stopped responding to treatment, and malignant cells spread throughout her body. When doctors said she was experiencing organ failure and her body could no longer fight the disease, she was hospitalized and experienced an unimaginable near-death experience. She said, "I met my best friend who had died of cancer. I couldn't be with her when she died, and that made me very sad. But seeing her there made me feel immensely well. It was a great relief. I also had the choice to come back or move on to death. It was so beautiful there that I didn't want to leave. But then I felt that if I came back, I would be healed, my body would be cured. And then I woke up in the hospital." Anita didn't know she had been in a coma because she could see everything in the operating room. She described the people there and everything they had done to her. The doctor was surprised when she immediately recognized him, but she hadn't regained consciousness in the operating room, nor had she seen him before. In a few days, Anita's health improved so rapidly that she was discharged from the hospital in no time. And to everyone's surprise, there was no trace of cancer in her body. Number 5. Christine Stein. This young woman was in a serious car accident and needed to be urgently taken to the hospital. She had internal bleeding and a large cut in her abdomen. Doctors were working hard to stop the bleeding near her heart when suddenly her heart stopped beating. Then Christine said her body projected from that place, and somehow she found herself in a bright and beautiful place. In her account, the young woman said, "The place I ended up in looked like Earth, but the colors were brighter and more welcoming. The ground felt like cotton. And I know this because I wasn't wearing shoes. I heard someone calling my name, and then I saw 2 people walking toward me. They were my grandparents, and I had only seen them in some family photos because they had passed away many years ago." The surgeon who attended to Christine's case almost lost the patient on his operating table. He and his team had to perform several methods of cardiac stimulation to stabilize her vital signs again. Christine said she could see herself on the operating table, and also heard the surgeon say, "We did it. We brought the girl back to life." After about 2 hours, the surgery was completed, and the doctor reported that the young woman woke up crying, which is very unusual in such a situation. Christine stated without a shadow of a doubt that she did not dream these images. Everything was truly experienced in some way. These were just 5 of the countless amazing near-death experiences reported. Let us know if you're enjoying this type of content so we can bring more stories to you. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell.